In the deep interior of southern Africa, far beyond the deserts, far beyond the rivers claimed by empire and mapmakers, lies a silence so vast that even the wind seems hesitant to cross it. For centuries, this silence guarded something extraordinary, a city carved not from myth or fantasy, but from stone and memory. A city whose very existence challenged the foundations of colonial scholarship. For 20 seconds, listen closely, not to me, but to the quiet hum of a civilization the world tried to erase. Stone towers rising without mortar, walls stretching longer than medieval fortresses, gold caravans snaking across the savannah, a royal court commanding trade routes that linked the African interior to Arabia, India, and distant China. This was no legend. This was no outsider's creation. This was Great Zimbabwe, an African city so advanced, so politically powerful, that early scholars refused to believe it was African at all. And so, they tried to erase it. To understand the story of Great Zimbabwe, we must begin long before the first colonial boots reached the plateau. Archaeological evidence, much of it painstakingly excavated by researchers from the University of Zimbabwe, Cambridge, and the British Museum, places the city's origins as early as the 9th century. The earliest settlements were modest clusters of huts built by ancestral Shona communities, farmers and ironworkers whose societies were already sophisticated, deeply spiritual, and firmly rooted in the land. The plateau, rich in cattle-grazing grasslands and close to gold deposits, became a natural center of wealth. These early families practiced mixed agriculture, cultivating sorghum and millet, raising livestock, and smelting iron in clay furnaces whose designs would remain consistent for centuries. By the 11th century, the settlement began to transform. Population increased, trade expanded, political authority centralized, and stone became the language of power. The Shona began constructing massive granite walls, each block shaped through an ancient technique of heating and splitting. These walls were not defensive barriers, they were statements, monumental structures meant to embody order, legitimacy, and the sacred bond between ruler and land. As the settlement grew, its architecture became divided into 3 major zones known today as the Hill Complex, the Great Enclosure, and the Valley Ruins. Each served a distinct cultural and political purpose.
Imagine the hill complex at sunrise. The granite cliffs glow gold. Smoke rises softly from morning fires. A carved path leads to the royal residence, the seat of the Mambo, the king whose authority extended across the plateau. From this vantage point, he could see the entire city, the markets in the valley where goods from distant lands exchanged hands, the cattle pens symbolizing wealth and ritual power, the clusters of houses built with meticulous planning. To the people, the Mambo was not just a king, he was the mediator between the earthly world and the ancestors, the figure responsible for maintaining harmony. His legitimacy was reinforced through stone architecture that echoed their cosmology. Circular enclosures symbolizing unity, narrow passages that channeled movement like rivers of ritual. What made Great Zimbabwe extraordinary was not simply its size, though at its peak it covered about 720 hectares, but its sophistication of its trade network. Excavations have uncovered beads from India, glassware from the Near East, textiles from Persia, and porcelain from Ming Dynasty China. These artifacts are not speculative. They take their place in the collections of museums worldwide. They show that Great Zimbabwe was no isolated settlement, but a vibrant economic hub connected to the Swahili coast and the Indian Ocean trade routes. Gold, ivory, and cattle formed the backbone of its economy. Swahili merchants, traveling from coastal cities like Kilwa and Sofala, brought foreign luxuries in exchange for African wealth. The gold mined near Great Zimbabwe may have reached as far as Cairo and Damascus. Yet perhaps the most striking aspect of Great Zimbabwe is its architecture. The Great Enclosure, a massive elliptical wall stretching over 250 meters in circumference, is among the largest ancient structures in sub-Saharan Africa. The walls were constructed without mortar, each stone carefully shaped to interlock with the next. This building technique was based on generations of knowledge, passed down as a craft and a symbol of identity. Inside the enclosure, a towering stone structure known as the conical tower stands like a silent sentinel. Its purpose remains debated. Some suggest it symbolized royal authority. Others believe it represented a granary, a metaphor for abundance. But whatever its meaning, the tower was an architectural achievement unmatched anywhere in the region.
By the 13th and 14th centuries, Great Zimbabwe had become the beating heart of a kingdom. Populations swelled, districts expanded, specialized labor groups, ironworkers, stonemasons, traders, healers formed the tapestry of urban life. For ordinary residents, daily existence revolved around family compounds, agriculture, and community rituals. The city was alive with movement, cattle herders leading animals through narrow passages, smiths hammering iron tools, women crafting pottery with swirling geometric designs, children running across courtyards, priests preparing offerings for ancestral spirits at sacred shrines. Life at Great Zimbabwe was not a mystery. It was a thriving civilization shaped by creativity, labor, and belief. But every civilization faces its turning point. As the late 15th century approached, ecological strain, shifting trade routes, and internal political tensions began to weaken Great Zimbabwe's influence. Drought cycles, evident in paleoclimatic records analyzed by African climate historians, put pressure on grazing lands. Gold production declined. Rival powers, especially the Mutapa Kingdom to the north, rose in prominence. Slowly, families began moving away. The city was not violently destroyed. It emptied gradually, like a river changing course. By the early 17th century, Great Zimbabwe was largely abandoned, its walls left to echo the stories of its builders. Then came the era that nearly erased its history. When European explorers and colonial agents encountered the ruins in the 19th century, they could not accept the truth. The idea that Africans had built a city so monumental, so architecturally complex, threatened the ideological foundation of empire. So they invented alternative explanations. Some claimed the ruins were linked to the Queen of Sheba. Others insisted they were built by Phoenicians, Arabs, or even wandering Israelites. These were not innocent mistakes. They were deliberate distortions. Colonial writers like J. Theodore Bent, widely cited in earlier years, despite lacking archaeological training, dismissed African authorship. His conclusions, now recognized as politically motivated and methodologically flawed, shaped early narratives and justified expansionist agendas. But the truth could not be buried forever. In 1929, a breakthrough came through the work of British archaeologist Gertrude Caton Thompson. Unlike her predecessors, she approached the site with scientific rigor and respect for local oral histories. After extensive excavations, her findings were unequivocal. Great Zimbabwe was built by the ancestors of the Shona. Not foreign migrants, not lost tribes, Africans. Her conclusions were published in respected academic journals and immediately met with resistance. Colonial administrations sought to suppress the results. School textbooks omitted them. Museum exhibits were altered. But evidence is stubborn. And over the decades, more archaeologists, both African and international, reinforced her conclusions with stratigraphy, radiocarbon dating, artifact analysis, and oral traditions that aligned with Shona mythology.
Today, Great Zimbabwe stands not as a mystery, but as a monument to African innovation. UNESCO recognizes it as a World Heritage Site. Scholars from African universities have conducted some of the most important excavations, revealing that the city's political system was complex, its economy dynamic, and its architecture deeply symbolic. The ruins remind us how powerful civilizations can be misrepresented and how crucial it is to reclaim historical narratives. Yet the story is not merely academic, it is personal. For Shona communities, Great Zimbabwe is part of their identity, a reminder of their ancestors' ingenuity. For Africa, it symbolizes a continent whose history is far richer than the narratives once imposed on it. And for the world, it is a case study in how archaeology can confront prejudice, how truth survives even when power tries to silence it. As the camera pulls back, imagine standing at the base of the great enclosure, your hand pressed against a wall carved centuries before a compass ever reached the plateau. The stones are warm under the sun. The wind carries voices, whispers of traders, kings, builders, and families who lived and dreamed here. Their city was nearly erased from history, but it was not, because stone remembers, and now so do we. If this story moved you, if you believe more people deserve to know the real history of Africa, not the edited version, then let this not be the end. Subscribe to the channel, support the series, and help bring forgotten civilizations back into the global conversation. Your engagement allows these stories to rise from silence, just as Great Zimbabwe once rose from stone.